Okay.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Bueller.
Here.
Commissioner Day.
Here.
Commissioner Hewitt.
Here.
Commissioner Rubes.
Here.
Commissioner Robertson.
Here.
Commissioner Speaka.
Here.
Commissioner Terry.
Okay, so approval of the minutes, I had a couple of changes in. Yeah, I know, I told her about it already.
Good.
She has.
Well, you only caught part of it. You didn't catch the whole.
Well,
4 lines.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
I circled it all.
Oh, okay, good. Thank you. Yep, there it is.
Okay, so the minutes are approved, with those corrections. There are no courtesies, no proclamations, board and commission reports. Commissioner Bueller.
The library did meet on January 16th. It was a regular meeting. Interesting topics. We have the Friends Chili Bowl coming up this Friday. So if you're feeling like trivia is your thing, it's a fun time. It's out at the Trade Center. So that will be a very fun event. Also, the library is working with the state library to receive more hotspots. So those are devices that you can check out through the library and have a hotspot at your own home for a period of time. And those have proved very, very helpful for people that live in the country, but also individuals in town that don't have internet access. And so that's been a really, really valuable service, and they're gonna go up to 9 of those. They did have 7. The memorandum of understanding is just basically now kind of in review, and we'll be needing to schedule a meeting with Holly and probably others to get that, to review that before it goes in front of the commission. And then to pair with the upcoming Chili Bowl fundraiser program for the Friends, the library is going to close this Friday at 3 p.m. so that the staff have time to go and get something to eat, and then so there is going to be that closure this Friday. And we will be meeting, our next meeting will be February 20th, which is Thursday. Again, those are at 1:30 at the library upstairs meeting room. That's it.
And I would like to say, you know, he's talking about ESRI, ESRI, that is a state, Cody was, the state library holds the GIS mapping for the entire state. And they have a whole department, at the state library that does all this mapping,
When all of the LiDAR information comes from the state library.
So when he was talking about that ESRI, which is the mapping program, that's work that the state library has done for years and years and years and years. So everything we get through dispatch on like where stuff is, like when they call in, you get the addresses and all that stuff. That's stuff that the state library has worked to put all together, and they've done it for the entire state. And most state libraries hold that information in their respective states.
So our library will,
Or
The state library.
any of the state libraries.
Remember all of those maps and stuff that you access, that's on the state library site.
The state library houses those
Just another
collections.
reason libraries are so important.
And also all of that GIS, and that GIS is information that's available not just to, you know, dispatch, it's utilized by all of the state departments.
Yeah.
So it's very valuable information, very cool information.
It's very cool information. So I just wanted to put that little plug in there, so he's talking about Esri and all the mapping that they've done, and all the maps that you got, that all comes from the state library and the work they've done.
That's it.
Nothing new about that.
Yeah, the Park and Recreation Board met last Wednesday, January 8th. The Civic Center is looking to move to hand dryers for all bathrooms to save costs. There's been a lot of plumbing issues at the Civic Center, which includes the men's urinals, sewer lines backing up. So having the hand dryers will help with these issues. Also, they would like to upgrade the weight room to rubber flooring. It needs to be updated, mostly for safety reasons. The board will look into adding these expenses of the hand dryers and the flooring to the capital improvement list that will be addressed this coming March. The board also requested from the director a price list of what additional upgrades and the costs for the needed weight room. Kelly Comer's position as a board member with the Fergus County Recreation Board ended its term in December of 2024, and Luke Brandon volunteered to sit on the Fergus County Recreation Board as a Park and Rec representative. The team room had life-size games and arcade machines donated by the Central Montana JCs, and their glow-in-the-dark dodgeball has been a big hit. That's kind of a
No pun intended.
Punning intended.
Oh, super successful.
They've already started it?
She did kind of one just to, on the download to see how it would go, and it was very successful. So they'll be bringing that back, on a regular basis, I think, yeah. Lisa donated hot chocolate at the warming hut over the holiday season. All youth hockey tournaments as well. There will be a construction area sectioned off when needed to further assist in the progression of the new facility. Friends of the Pool will meet this week to discuss assisting with the pool tarps. And more sizes on skates are needed to increase and update the skate rentals. Also, cross-country boots are needed. The current ones are not in good condition, and efforts are being made to accept donations and look into secondhand or bulk discount purchasing. This is a good one, listen up. The city received a tree grant, and Kelly Henderson, Park and Rec Director, will also be applying for a tree planting grant this January. She's also researching other grant opportunities that would benefit the department. And a new intramural high school basketball program is being created, and an adult prom will be hosted this spring by Farm in the Dell.
An adult prom.
Any questions for Lorraine? Mr. Rubes, anything to report?
Nothing to report.
On January 8th, the airport board met, and we discussed snow removal. And if there is 1 inch of snow on any of the runways, it will be removed. That includes the weekends. And all our equipment is up and running great. The big hangar passed all its inspections, and the airport will do 5% on taxiways and hangars. That's a reconstruction, and that will not happen until 2026 in the spring, which is the best time. And the apron will also be, the apron and the taxiway will be closed in front of the big hangar. The possible turnarounds for planes is either at the BLM area or possibly Greg's gas pumps. And the pavement, they have to check the pavement at Greg's to make sure that can take the weight of that. The big hangar door funds should be coming. And Joe Stapleton will be renting a portion of the Rimby hangar to continue his work that he is a mechanic and works a lot on helicopters. And for 1 year. He will also pay rent and then a portion of the lights or the utilities, let's just put it that way. And the FAA will meet in Helena on the 5th and 6th of February. And our next meeting will be Wednesday, the 12th of February. Zoning Commission, had a public hearing, and there was an election of officers. Ryan Dick is the chairman, and Brandon Cowan is the co-chairman. The conditional use permit is for Race Townsend. He is going to demolish a building and put in a modern modular, and it will be a residential / office building. And the hours are Monday through Friday by appointment, and there are 2 parking spaces.
The Central Montana Foundation will meet on next Tuesday, January 28th, and we have a very full agenda, so I'll have lots to report when I come back.
You have a what?
Very full agenda.
Good.
We got all kinds of stuff going on there, so. City manager report.
Yes, snow, and more snow. So Public Works has been very busy, dealing with snow, the weekend of the 11th. The staff had approximately 60 hours of overtime, that weekend, responding to roughly 20 complaints, from blowing and drifting to cars abandoned and stuck, and other concerns. They continue to partner with contractors to remove the snow. Right now, we're actively working with 4, and are getting the paperwork finalized for a couple of others. They do have to have a current city business license and provide us all the required insurance documentation. And so our staff has been focused on, using our larger equipment to plow the roads, and then we partner with these contractors to load and haul to the designated dump sites. And so that's worked well. They continue to work long hours and are working to address the requests that are coming in, but also getting to all of the various roads. The Central Montana Perch Derby was canceled last weekend because of the snow and cold temperatures, and winter fair was also postponed a week. So those activities will happen this weekend. We have had a issue with our water system and the construction project. We were not meeting the minimum disinfection level. A lot of the challenges were with the chlorine analyzers, and so we worked with the engineers and DEQ and the manufacturer. We actually had them replace all of our sensors with the newest models, and so now we're meeting those requirements fairly consistently and have no issues there. And then last but certainly not least, we're in the middle of the legislative session. At last count, there were over 4,000 bills that have been introduced. Many of them don't have the text and stuff online. If you want to participate in the public process, to participate in making public comments or testify on a bill, you have to sign up. So there's information that we can provide to get you signed up to testify or provide comments. And we also have many bills at the local League of Cities and Towns is following, and those are up to date on their website. So you just go to the league's website and go to their legislative resources, and there's a full list there. So that's all I have, thank you.
On that, the water, the manufacturer, was that like an under warranty thing?
It was all under warranty, yes. And that's why, the engineers and those guys worked really hard on it, and then we notified DEQ. So they were very kind and aware of the situation. It had gone on for several months that they would not stay in calibration. So it wasn't necessarily that the chlorine levels were off, it was that they were reading over or under or just inconsistently. And so they did replace all of them to get them to be more reliable in their calibration.
Do we have analyzers throughout the whole system? How many of them do we have?
I believe there's 9
Okay.
that are currently. So most of our pumping facilities have 2, an inlet and an outlet on all of them.
Where is the dump site?
There is many dump sites. So there's some by the frog ponds that we've always used primarily for the Lewis and Clark area, in that area.
Which looks amazing.
The one that I am thoroughly impressed with, and I don't recall a pile of snow ever that large, is been down by the grain elevators, so kind of between behind Lewistown Propane and Brassy, kind of in that section of the rail corridor, and that's a huge pile of snow. And then we do utilize some of our excess property at the wastewater plant, so close to Sawyer Trail, behind the residence there. And then we have some parkland that we also have if we need it.
And then the contractors, are they using those dump sites or are they using their own?
No, they're trucking it to our site, yes. There are some other contractors doing work for private businesses, but I have no idea where they're disposing it. And then the state has also worked, and they have multiple dump sites across town.
So I know that, commissioners, many of you got phone calls, lots of phone calls during that time. Is there anything anyone would like to bring up or discuss at this point?
I did get quite a few calls, and one question that came up was people didn't know what the schedule was of the plowing, and they would love to see that kind of communication with the community. So keeping people updated. We're plowing out Brassy, we're heading towards Lewis and Clark. Just having that little bit of information, I think, would have helped a lot of that kind of unease, because as people were inside for multiple days, there started to be this question of when is our street going to be plowed? So that was a lot of the conversations that I was having. And if the city could kind of think about how best to communicate with people, that could be a really powerful thing that we could help.
And I think our ordinance committee had kind of started to outline a process to get vehicles, because the worst thing is that the vehicles are they're buried too. And so, just kind of organizing how vehicles could get moved, and people would know that, that it was okay to park on this street or on this side of the street. And when they would need to move them to the opposite side, and kind of where was a good location, that they weren't inhibiting snow removal.
Yep. And just having that kind of constant communication could be really
So
great.
how come like our Facebook page that the city of Lewistown has, how come that wasn't people-based?
It can be utilized, it just, again, we've had a lot of people in a lot of different areas, so it was not just one area that they were focusing.
Yeah, I was just thinking that would have been the fastest way probably, unless you had put something on the radio or.
Yeah. Or even like having a map where you just kind of highlight sections, like currently plowing, to be plowed, that constantly kind of gets updated. And having that in a centralized location for people to come and check, I think would help with that communication.
Well, I was just gonna say, I got a lot of calls too, and it was good. I felt like I reached out and got answers immediately, and that was really nice to be able to give information to people more specific. But I think kudos to the city for as hard as they worked and as long as they did. I mean, that was a treacherous, and that was not Lewistown's call to get dumped on like that. That was a Mother Nature thing, and I personally feel like once I was more informed and understood the process of everything that was happening and how many contractors were coming in and what was being moved and seeing it physically on Main Street, I thought it was great personally. But yeah, but in the process of not knowing, that's where I think the confusion kind of lies with it. I think the communication is great as far as knowing what we can tell people and how we can talk to them.
Because I will say again, Lewis and Clark looks great. That was looking a little iffy for a while.
And having these contractors on too to move the snow
Away.
away has been a huge help in just for people to navigate.
It would be, you've seen it in the areas that they have maybe plowed to the side of the road and how narrow that is. I mean, there's just not that storage capacity, and it leaves a very large berm, and we would get more calls if we could get it out.
I just thought it was so cool, like we saw so many neighbors and people out with their plows and shoveling.
The contractors did great, they just came together, and it's been a great partnership.
Yeah, even downtown, I think that was close together, people were just volunteering.
I have a question. My neighbor plowed, had somebody come in and plow, and they plowed down the alley only so far. And there is a mountain of snow in the alley.
I mean, you're not alone, there's been many recreational plowers, and, that just,
They do terrific.
They could have plowed in there just
yeah.
had she asked, or, I mean.
And that's been a lot of the calls and complaints have been because of the neighbors or maybe, other properties that took care of their snow, but maybe left it a mess for others. And so, again, that's why you're not supposed to, deposit it on the street, because it does make it a problem for somebody else to deal with.
Or the sidewalk.
I got a lot of calls to have some quite angry people who couldn't get out of the neighborhood, elderly people who couldn't get to the store and get medicine. And I did call and talk to Holly, and I understood after an explanation of that there is a plan's being followed, and that there's more snow than we're used to and more snow that we can maybe handle. I think it does create an opportunity to take a look at the plan and affirm that it is the plan that we want to use if we have another storm like that. And is there anything we can do to learn from this experience? I did point out to a couple of the people that were chewing me out that I'm sure the city would be happy to go employ 3 or 4 or 5 more people and give them each a brand new giant plow, but it would require tax dollars to do that. And what was their tolerance for increased taxes so that they could occasionally, I've been here 22 years, I think I've seen 2 snowfalls that might be similar in nature to that. What is it worth to do that? And maybe people think it's more important, but I think there's some other things such as communication, using, hey, this is coming, and I saw the sheriff's department, and I think PD might have done something too on social media, and so we need to have a voice in that as a city.
And so a lot of those things that were being posted and shared by DES was communication that was coming from us. So both the LPPA, which is the Lewistown Police Protective Association, and the fire departments have very good followings and get picked up by the DES. So those were
That
all,
was the one asking everyone to stay home.
yes.
Is that the first one?
But I think right after that is where we could have done more to let people know we are gonna come plow your street, we're taking care of these streets first. I don't know if we can afford interactive snowplow tracking, but,
Exactly.
that's a little
We have the
expensive.
digital twinning, let's use it.
I don't know that we can.
Find my snowplow.
I don't think we probably can't, but what we could do is let them know what the plan, we're at in the plan. And maybe let them know that we're on priority 4 out of 7 or something of that nature, and let them know we're gonna come down your street. The other piece that I reached out to, I ran into, I didn't actually reach out, but I ran into Kevin Myrie, who said that many, many years ago, he was party to a plan to do odd even parking, where every night during the winter months, during storms, they switch from side to side, and he suggested that did not go over very well in Lewistown, that people didn't appreciate moving their vehicles. So my response to people when they say, I can't get my car out because there's a berm, or that I'm still snowed in, or my street hasn't been properly plowed, I ask whether they can all move their cars from side to side so the city can get them. And I drove around today for a while looking at some of the streets just to get a sense of how it's been plowed, and I would say there's still a lot of cars blocking the plowing from taking place, and maybe there needs to be, maybe we need to consider some kind of odd, even post-storm movement of vehicles, where when the city declares a storm emergency, people need to start moving their vehicles and get them out of there. And a little prompt to move your vehicle. We grew up in a town that had that in the Midwest. We did it every night, and I'll never forget being a teenager parking in front of my parents' house and forgetting. And how every time I did it, it cost me $10. I quickly learned odd and even days of parking. So, and it did get plowed. So I just would throw out, maybe we need to develop a little bit of a communications plan, and maybe a storm response plan, and then maybe if we still have pushback from people, we need to develop some options for what it's gonna cost to have 24/7 immediate response. Every street is free of snow at all times. If possible, it would just cost everybody a whole lot of money.
So I think that the lesson learned here is, A, communication, and B, also like, maybe getting out what the plan is. And I know that you worked closely with Public Works and the fire department and stuff. But we could possibly have that information, you know what I'm saying? Like if all of us would have had the information. I know that when someone was, I had to hold the phone over here, but when I was being yelled at, when I told this person that they were really trying to get the schools out, that did calm him down a little bit, because I said, they haven't been able to have school, and so their priorities now are to get the schools, and Lewis and Clark, we couldn't get into the building. I mean, they had a drift over the front door that was insane. So I think if we're able to communicate too, and be like, he did calm down just a minute when he was like, oh, I guess those darn kids, yes, we gotta get them, we gotta educate them. So, I think that having some sort of plan and getting it out to as many people who can then relay that knowledge is the best way to go. So. Comments? Any comments, Ron? Or two?
Yeah, they must be pretty smart. They just took care of the problem. I didn't get any phone calls. We had a big old front end loader go down my alley and make a big berm, and I was thankful. Cause I couldn't move in that 3 foot of snow, but I could move that berm. Took a while. So, we could get out. I just appreciate how everybody was working together, all those construction companies. How the city was probably through Holly in her office, just made an executive decision and hired people. I know we have Griffith contracted, but it took everybody. It took Century and Newall, it took them all, and they're still working, so I'm impressed.
Any comments on that? Well, we might have public comment, because we're moving into that. Okay, public comment on non-agenda items. Is there any public comment on non-agenda items? Okay. And what's really fun, Will, is when your picture is on the front page of the newspaper when you have an epic storm. Thanks for that. It's awesome. Lorraine and I are like, oh, I had no idea that we were just gonna get.
What are we doing?
I know, yeah, it was pretty amazing. So, yeah, we're on the other side, not that we're not gonna get more snow. And imagine, Doug, how green and those trees are gonna grow when this all happens.
That's where I wish the dump sites were. Everybody's garden.
Okay, acknowledgement of the claims that have been paid from January 1st to January 17th. Is there any questions on that?
I have just a couple.
Sure.
Page 12, very bottom. Just to get it right, correction, previously paid out of street funds, it just was, came out of the wrong fund, is that what that is, or what does that mean?
And so that's the Kiwanis watering, that is actually covered by a grant.
Okay.
And is that's all paid out now, done,
We have one more year.
Okay.
So the grant is closed out, but there's one more year with Kiwanis.
Okay.
And then the last page, just check, it says, 56,496 is Landia Inc. And that, I'm guessing, is for some mechanical upgrades, or?
That's parts, so like brackets and consoles for the
Uh-huh.
wastewater plant.
That's good, thanks. You don't know that. Yeah, you don't have that.
Is there any other comments or questions?
Well, I just need some information on page 15. It talks about the Montana Department of Transportation, and then it's a water project.
Yep, so the, First Avenue project, remember to realign, or to basically adjust the height on manholes
Right.
and, valves. There is a cost if it's above 25,000, and so that's the difference
So
in
we paid some of that.
part of the project cost. Yep.
Entertain a motion on those?
I move that we accept the, yeah,
Second.
or could, yeah.
Okay, it's been, moved by Commissioner Hewitt, seconded by Commissioner Ruse. All in favor of the claims, please raise your right hand. Thank you. All right, regular agenda. Moving on, discussion and action on approving the buy-sell agreement from Fiddleback Ridge LLC for the purchase of the Bird Lumber property and authorizing the city manager to sign the agreement. Holly, can you give us the background and where we're at on this?
Yep, and so we do have the real estate agent, and then, there are a couple of partners also online. And so in working with, now I'm drawing a blank on what's your former
Homestead?
Cody,
Well,
it was
Homestead.
yep. And so,
Homestead Ventures.
the previous LLC, did some restructuring and has created Fiddleback Ridge, LLC. They have been working with Doug and myself over the last, several months. And so we did ask them to provide a new buy-sell with their new corporation. And so this is the same offer that we previously had, with a close date of 45 days, so that it will be closed, this fiscal year. Is there anything else, Amber, that you want to add there?
No, not a close date of 45, but before the fiscal year. Sorry.
Thank you.
Quick question, the buy-sell that we had on with Homestead has expired.
Correct.
So that is still in the city's ownership?
It is still our
So his organization basically just restructured,
we created a new
but
LLC.
it's still the same, it's still Joel, the guy who did the
Yep,
presentation.
Joel's online, Dale, Amber, the same team.
So the same, of what was presented to us before, that's the same are still looking at
The
the
proposal.
usage.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Joel, do you wanna add anything there?
Hi, everybody. Yeah, we did a restructuring, basically just to create some clarity and some distinction between our factory that is in Great Falls and our development project in Lewistown. That was the reason for doing that.
But like Lorraine was asking, the proposal is exactly the same.
Do we still have all the stuff about the proposal coming back to us when it's more defined?
So they still have to go through the same process with subdivision and layout and all of that with Doug and other members of the city.
Are we gonna annex this property before that happens?
Yes, so the plan would be, once we have a buy-sell in place, to annex it. Again, working with them on the zoning, because we zoned it at that time as well. And so we definitely have to partner with them. And Joel has seen, our development agreement, that's kind of laid out in there as well. So as part of that, finalize the development agreement. All the conditions on the buy-sell are the same as original, so there's not been any changes to that either.
Can you remind us what the conditions were?
To continue working with them on water and sewer infrastructure. In the, development agreement, it talks about the no further action letter and stuff like that, which we've accomplished that.
Transportation.
Yep.
Roads. And then we're anxious, Dale is working on finalizing the site plan, which will be part of the development
And
agreement.
that site
Here's
plan
what's
is
gonna
something-
be built, here's how many housing units, here's how the roads are gonna be laid out. Here's gonna be the mixed-use component, here's where the townhouses are at, is still yet to be finalized.
So once that site plan is finalized, does that come again in front of the commission, or does that go in front of the zoning stuff?
So
Because our zoning
annex it,
board's gone.
that would be you guys.
It'll be the annexation.
Thank you.
And then the development agreement will come back to you guys, as would the subdivision.
So,
And if they're consistent with your plan, there's no more public hearings.
so moving forward with this, then our next step would be to annex and then work with the development, get the development agreement in place before this closes.
Correct.
Correct, and then Joel, when do you expect, I mean, in the perfect world, we get all these agreements done. You want to break ground when?
We would love to break ground late spring,
Okay,
early summer, if that's better for you, Doug.
like late June, when the snow melts?
Sure.
That's how long this snow will be here, I can
Yes,
guarantee.
that's fine. We can, well, we're happy to work with you guys, and whatever works out best for the community, that's really our concern.
I don't wanna sound discouraging of this, but I have a couple questions for clarity on this. So the buy-sell, as far as I see, does not stipulate a requirement to develop.
Exactly.
It's a sale, it's done.
Correct.
So, and I wasn't party to the development, the prior interviews, I wasn't on this commission. What, to be candid, what is holding their feet to the fire to actually do the development after they own the property? Is there anything in writing?
It would just be the buy-sell, ultimately.
Can I speak to that? Yeah. In the buy-sell, it does say the seller agrees to work with the buyer to provide all needed infrastructure to develop property, including but not limited to water rights, utilities, basic infrastructure requirements, all the zoning, all of that is implied. So, and we could put wording in there that says, we agree to develop this if you wanted it that point blank, but it is stipulated in there that we are working to develop it.
I guess where I'm going is, it's a public sale, public property sale at a good price, obviously, which is appropriate. I'm not disagreeing with that, but it would seem that there should be a stipulation that it be developed if it's gonna be sold at that, in that rate. And then number two is actually the wording that you just read, seller agrees to work required to provide all needed infrastructure to develop the property. I think they're cut both ways.
Sure.
I'd like it to be clarified to say that, well, I guess what does that mean? Because that could be, I could read that as the city is going to provide water rights, utilities, and basic infrastructure at its cost.
Yeah, no, and we have
That might not be what it
extensively
means.
talked about it, but it could be clarified, because I
Yeah,
can
I think-
definitely argue both sides of that.
Yeah, I can see very clearly where it could end up in front of a judge, and so they can say the city's gonna pay for all that, based on that wording. So I just would like some clarity that, what that means, to work with, or,
I think
buyer-
that there's an
buyer will-
opportunity to amend that at this time.
There is an
Is there-
opportunity to amend that.
Right now.
And I am no lawyer, I do not claim to be, so I don't try to mince words on what you, so yes, if you can guide us on clarification on how that helps you, feel comfortable that is, because that is definitely what we are implying with our wording. I completely understand. You can always see the two sides of any wording, and so, yeah, if there's clarifications needed, I can amend that easily.
Would it be better, and I believe that we had talked about this when we were going through this process, but, I thought that we were going to put together that development plan. And have you sign the development plan, because that was one of the stipulations on selling the public or city property, was that we did have the, like Tim is talking about, we did have the responsibility of what it was supposed to be done for.
And that's still a requirement, the development agreement.
But
And it has its own kind of nuances, but I think it would not hurt to
because I'm just wondering if the buy-sell could refer as an addendum
be all conditions of the
of the,
development agreement, or you could put in there, I'm making notes, development, I'll be housing, whatever.
I was gonna
you
say,
could
is
type
development
housing.
ever defined?
I think we might be a little careful here about, they're gonna need ownership of this to go ahead with investment. I get that. So there needs to be a buy-sell that gets put in place relatively quickly. I don't wanna get in the way of that. And maybe there just needs to be, that development agreement needs to be in place just prior to this. Or, I don't think you want an actual buy-sell agreement to be clouded with a lot of long-term stipulations in the development agreement, because you need to close. You can't get closure on this, I don't think, without, with all these stipulations that are hanging out there in the future. But maybe this, it could be referred to in there, or there could be some kind of basic tenets of a development.
So contingent on,
that was the word, I was trying to think, what's the word?
contingent on the successful development agreement by,
Prior to closing.
prior to closing.
They're gonna wanna close, though. I mean, that's what we're trying to get done.
Yeah, but
But the development agreement should be agreed on before
Yeah,
that,
it
I
needs-
might
We
understand,
can move
yes.
forward, but with the dates and the timeline. So Joel is online and so is Tyler too. Anybody wants to
I'm
sign
not trying
in?
to drag it out. I'm not trying to drag it out.
Well, I
It's all
don't,
the
I
pieces
think
in
we
the right order.
can come together on it, I just,
So-
just need to be a little.
And
clarify
so
some
we
of this.
purposely have timelines that allow us to amend this tonight, so that Amber can go back and finesse that offer, and then, we can move forward with it if that's what the commission.
Tyler say.
And
'Cause he was-
can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. So again, Tyler West here, city attorney. So I think Holly's already nailed it that an addendum could be entered by the parties to this buy-sell agreement, talking about having this approved plan the way that the commission's comfortable with, and have it be, approved and completed prior to closing. But I agree with Holly to do an addendum to the buy-sell agreement, have it executed by the parties to allow the timelines that are incorporated in that agreement to start to roll through, so that we can get it to closing as desired by everybody here.
So Tyler, are you saying to, rather than in the buy-sell saying contingency, just adding an addendum that, I'm trying to think of like proper wording, but like seller and buyer agree, to, or agree upon, you might have to help me, but development agreement, zoning and
So-
executing. Go ahead.
So it'd be an addendum amending lines. I can pull it up, but it'd be the lines regarding to the contingencies, and just subject to, again, what the commission is comfortable with. I agree to not putting these long-term ties to planning on it, but I will say that we have the Lewistown plan for development underway right now. That the plan is for development that is approved by that plan, which I do see that it is built in, but we don't want to have to extrapolate information off these contracts. That's not a good way to put it. So if we tighten that up and make, again, the commission happy and comfortable with that'd be a good way to do it. It's just an addendum to those contingencies.
And is the development plan the addendum to the contingencies?
Addendum to the buy-sell, right?
To the we're talking about amending the buy-sell agreement as written right now. And I'd be looking at, where are you?
170-ish.
Right, so we would just be amending this buy-sell to make it to that tighter language about having the intent of the parties laid out.
I would feel better, if we had the development plan with this, and then, like he's talking about, like, how does,
So just make it prior to closing that the development agreement shall be in place, something like that, amending this.
Yes, and again, we're looking at, and I found it finally. Sorry, it's under the additional provisions, lines 178 through 181. We have an addendum to that that would just lay out this concern that's been brought up, and to clarify that this is the plan. You're going to have this plan by closing, as approved by the commission.
How do you feel about that, Tim?
I think we can hear from the buyer, see if they get comfortable with that.
yeah, Joel, what do you think? We're not trying to be difficult. I just want everything in writing.
Yeah, I'll be honest, it's hard to hear a lot of the people. So, I want to do what's right by you guys, and I want to make sure that you guys feel comfortable with our intent. We're going to develop this land. We're not just going to buy it and sit on it. That's not what we do. That's not good for anybody. So whatever needs to be written for you all to feel comfortable, I'm willing, obviously willing to look at that. Our intent is to secure this land and, begin development of it in conjunction and partnership with all of you.
I think, Joel, what we're talking about is, can you hear me?
I can, yes.
So I think what we're talking about is just making sure that that development agreement is working in partnership with this buy-sell, and then so that it's in place and being referenced when we close.
Sure, that's great. No problem there.
And that, we've talked about using this document for this very reason, so.
Yep,
You want to know
absolutely.
what you're going to get.
And I mean, that's what we chose and did the whole process.
Yeah.
about this.
So you saw the preliminary designs by all the proposers. Now we're down to these guys doing their final development proposals. You want to tie that to the buy-sell closing.
Yes.
Okay.
What your specific site design that you'll be working with Holly and I on?
Yeah, and
Okay, no problem.
even so much the specific, but,
Site, but the
and laying out
development
this
agreement, the
water and
utilities,
sewer.
the,
Because that's what we had talked about them signing and you doing.
and that has zoning and
Original.
annexation and utilities and all of those.
Right,
Items
that's
you
what I
guys
mean by
hit on.
details, yeah.
All that needs
Would
to
it
go into.
take until the first meeting in February to get this done, or could we have a special meeting?
You guys could approve an amendment to this offer, and if Joel agrees upon it, if you can authorize me to sign it with that addendum. Joel and I have already been volleying back development agreements. So, I mean, he has seen a draft. We basically draft, documents from previous developments as well. So we've got several in the
If
hopper.
it's simpler, also, we could do it either way, whether I make the addendum to that and add that in, or you also can counter. Technically, then you guys can have Tyler say what you are expecting, and then we can go that way as well, so.
So you need an amendment, or excuse me,
A
a
motion,
motion.
yes.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the presented buy-sell agreement with changes either in the form of a counter or an amendment to this buy-sell agreement to clarify the intent of the parties related to the current additional provisions section and to have a development agreement and plan in place prior to closing.
I'll second that.
And closing is in 5 months?
Yeah, we're gonna try to get it done before the end of June.
Okay.
Break ground this summer.
Okay, I'm gonna need help with that motion, please. We are approve presented buy-sell agreement.
And we're authorizing her to sign it. Right.
Well, let's get this first part done. Buy-sell agreement, and the ability to counter or amend. Are you saying that?
Yes.
Okay. To counter or amend the offer,
The offer to clarify the intent of the parties related to the additional provisions section. And to add stipulation that a development agreement and plan be in place prior to closing.
I had development agreement and plan prior to closing, and to add, what was that word you said before, I'm sorry?
Provisional.
Provisional?
There's like
Provision,
178 to,
So I have additional provisions section and add,
Development plan?
no, something, development agreement.
Clarification.
Clarification, that's it. Of development agreement / plan prior to closing.
Clarification of the development intent, right?
Agreement would have to.
It would be in it.
I think you want to make sure that there's, I'm not sure, I don't know how you have it written.
I think the development.
I can reread, I'll reread it.
What you have.
Okay, I will read.
Include all of this.
Are we ready? I'll reread it again. The motion is to approve.
What is it?
Approve the presented buy-sell agreement with the ability to counter or amend the offer to clarify intent of parties related to additional provisions section and add clarification for the development agreement / plan prior to closing.
Read that very last phrase. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Okay, additional provisions section and add clarification,
Add a provision for.
add provision
Yeah, to
instead
require-
of clarification.
Provision to require
Add provision to require
a development agreement and plan prior to closing.
And approved.
Mhm.
Agreed upon.
to add,
And that could,
The beginning of the motion says that you have to do that, right?
okay, hold on.
And then sign.
Well, yeah, we'll get that on there. Okay, so related to additional provisions section and add provision to add clarification for the development agreement / plan prior to closing. Screwed it up again.
It's not.
it's not clarification, it's add a provision.
Requirement or provision.
Add provision to
Require.
You
Provision.
have to have language in here that says there will be in place approved
Development agreement.
development agreement.
okay, provision to, and then what do I need?
It's contingent upon an agreed upon development.
An approved development.
This is called design mapping.
So,
Think bigger.
provision to, you said a word, she,
Just say include or require development, or approved require an approved development agreement and plan.
And plan.
require approved development agreement / plan prior to closing.
At the beginning though, not, you had, like, allow an amendment, you want
It must,
approve it
yeah.
provided it has been amended or,
Approve presented buy sell agreement. And then you're,
only as amended or what is it?
Counter.
Or countered, yeah. Not allowed for, but
I said
Insistent
ability
upon.
to.
more than
Yeah,
that.
not an ability
Required.
to.
Required.
Must be amended
Must
or countered.
is needed.
Must be, you want must be or
Us
required?
all working together here.
Approve it as.
You didn't have to do any of this with the
Required
whole land use
counter
plan.
or amendment.
What's that?
Yeah.
You didn't have to do any of this wordsmithing for the whole.
The offer to clarify the intent of parties related to additional provisions section and provisions to, no, addition,
And add a provision.
add provision to additional clarification, required approved development agreement. So we've got a couple words in here that are. Add provision
You want to write it out there?
require, add provision to require, there we go. Development agreement. /
Tyler.
Plan prior to closing.
Require approved or just require?
Just to require.
Okay. Okay, and then authorize the city manager to sign. Clear as mud?
80% of the way.
Are you okay with that?
Well, I'll second as long as, one more thing that he said, just as long as it gives us, that we can put in there the amendment or the counter. And that's a decision that you and Tyler and.
Okay.
I'll stand by that.
Just as long as the amendment part is in there.
Okay. Okay, we are making a motion to approve the presented buy-sell agreement required counter or amendment offer to clarify intent of parties related to additional provisions section and add provision to require development agreement / plan prior to closing and authorize the city manager to sign the agreement.
So somehow that means it must be used for residential.
Included in that development agreement, it'll talk about the
Okay.
utilities and the use
The
and the
development
zoning.
agreement is
In
the
the
key.
timeframe stage.
Yes.
Because I think that was initially the commission's biggest reservation.
We're still okay
And the
there, Tim, with
details
wording?
get hammered out in that agreement.
Queen's English.
What did you say?
Something.
I'm not sure if that's really structured. No, they won't have to.
Approve the buy-sell.
What did you write down?
Buy, sell, if they can amend
But we require a counter or amendment to clarify.
We just want the
the
development
I was-
intent
in there and
Yes.
done before closing.
Section, and then that's, yeah, recess, okay.
and require.
Yeah, more active verbs is what you need.
All right, are we ready again?
Read that.
Okay. Approve buy-sell agreement, require counter or amendment to clarify intent of parties related to additional provisions section, and require development agreement / plan prior to closing, and authorize city manager to sign.
That's good.
I like that.
Those active verbs help.
There's some tense things in there.
Yeah. Well, I kind of started with what he said and tried to write as he went, and that didn't work either. Okay.
Does everybody understand the motion?
We're selling the property, contingent upon a plan.
We want the plan has to be in there, it has to be in place before it's
I
closed.
really want this language clarified in
Yes, so in the development plan, all this has to come together, just say. That's the intent of the commission.
And I'll reiterate, I really think we need to have Tyler work on this additional provisional language, because the way it's written right now, I think we're gonna be responsible for putting sewer and water in, and I don't want to approve that.
You're not listening.
That's how we'll proceed is, I'll work with Tyler to do a counter.
Perfect. That would probably be.
That might be it.
Yeah, and I'm definitely listening. We'll put together some good language for a counter and get it taken care of.
I think that's kind of,
I personally, I think a counter is the best way to go, because then you have control over that language, like you talked about, rather than leaving it in, but I'll still second the motion. And just urge you with Tyler to work on.
And that's what you're doing in this motion, is offering either or,
Yeah.
a counter or wordsmith it as
But
it
you're
is.
also gonna go with what your attorney recommends too, I assume.
okay, how's everybody feel?
Uncomfortable.
All right. Been a motion made by Tim, or Commissioner Robertson, by Commissioner Robertson, seconded by Commissioner Day. Is there any comments from the public? I'm sure this has been riveting. Super fun. Okay. Any other comments from commissioners? All right,
Ready?
read it again.
Read it again? Okay.
Roll call vote.
Approve buy-sell agreement, require a counter or amendment to clarify intent of parties related to additional provisions section, and require development agreement or plan prior to closing, and authorize the city manager to sign the agreement.
To sign both the amendment and
The counter and the,
it's not gonna be the agreement, it's gonna be the buy-sell and kind of that.
to sign the buy-sell.
Because I don't think we want the confusion with the
Right.
development agreement.
Got it.
Including the counter, for example.
Are we ready?
Is everybody comfortable with that?
So, really quick, will this buy-sell come in front of the commission again?
Everything else will.
Like, the development plan, the annexation, all of that.
What is Berg lumber gonna look like?
Okay.
And how is it gonna function?
But the way this motion is stated now, it would be required to have those pieces in place. Prior to that, it would have been a nice thing, but it wasn't required. Now it's gonna be required to have these in place.
Perfect.
That's a good way of saying it.
Okay. Commissioner Bueller,
Aye.
Commissioner Day,
Aye.
Commissioner Hewitt,
Aye.
Commissioner Rubes,
Nay.
Commissioner Robertson,
Aye.
Commissioner Speaka,
Aye.
Commissioner Terry.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, Snowy Mountain Development. Hi. You're
As
gonna
you
be
can
a little.
see, there's no action on our. I'm here, Abby Byerly, here representing Snowy Mountain Development. We administer the TIF or ERD and TED for the city. This legislative session, TIF is, the
Okay.
tool is once again under attack. It was last legislative session as well. As a statewide working group, as well as our local advisory board, we have decided that we want to do an.
Oh, I don't know that Ron can hear. We may need to have her come up and use a microphone.
Ron, can you hear Abby?
No.
Sorry, we're gonna have to have you come up there.
Sorry,
It's all right.
right here's a microphone right here. You can take it right over there with you if you would like.
You can be the planner for the night.
I don't want to do
You may not
that.
want that.
Yeah.
Abby Byerly, I'm representing Snowy Mountain Development.
Yeah, I did turn it on. There you go.
Abby Byerly, Snowy Mountain Development. Snowy Mountain administers the TIF for the TIF, which is the Urban Renewal District downtown, as well as the TED up by the airport for the city. The tool has come under attack this legislative session as well as past. As a statewide working group, so all of these districts across the state work together with the league, as well as our local advisory board, have decided that we want to do just some education and outreach. I think a lot of the attacks on the tool come from misunderstanding or not understanding what the tool does and what it can be utilized for. So I'm going to take a little different approach here and ask, and maybe Tim doesn't respond, but do you know what?
Can I just clarify one?
Yes.
The tool is the TIF as a concept.
Correct. Tax increment financing concept. We have an urban renewal district as well as a targeted economic development district here in Lewistown and Fergus County. So I would love to know if you guys know what TIF is or how it's used or what it can be utilized for.
What was that last part?
How it can be used or what it can be utilized for. I do have some handouts, but it's got the answer on it, so I'm not going to give it to you.
Well, we've seen quite a few come through here in the last
Sure.
little bit that we've approved and.
For signs and frontage and kind of make them look welcoming.
Signs, absolutely. I think it doesn't stop there. There's a lot of blight remediation that's happened, some housing development downtown, some serious infrastructure, improvements, sidewalks, that sort of a thing. So signs is kind of the tip of the iceberg when it comes to tax increment financing. So it is a tool. It doesn't happen without private partnership. So it requires a lot of private investment. It's not just tax dollars being handed to anyone that has a good idea, but it's that working together, a partnership that happens. It's not a new tax or a different tax. That tax would still be paid. It just would not be set aside for development if a TIF did not exist. We've had a lot of success downtown in our ERD or TIF district. The TED is still, I think, getting things figured out, but we were able to, Sarah worked really hard to pull in Town and Country in 2018 to capture that increment so that we have something to work with there. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, so I wanted more clarification. I guess I'm not really understanding when you say like it's under attack.
Sure.
Are you wanting those dollars to still go into some type of a what have you, but they're not able to access them? Or how they're accessing, like, how does that work? Or would it just be the dollars stay, the taxpayers aren't paying into anything at all? Like, what is it what part of that is all
Under
attack?
attack.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So I should clarify that not all of the bills that are being brought are attacking it. Some are to require an advisory committee to review these. So we already have that in place. So we're kind of ahead of the game there, ahead of the curve there. They're wanting to redefine blight, which I think is really personally opening a can of worms, but could
could pull out portions that would no longer be able to access the funding to address. And then the other one is wanting to take the newly taxable value, so any development that happens that then increases the tax base, we would not be able to access that in the increment, so that would go away. So
You keep saying increment, let's define that first.
let me hand this out then, because
Yeah.
there's a nice
You said
picture
town
in
and
here.
country.
So in this PowerPoint, on, I think it's the second page, there's a nice picture that shows what that increment is. So it's essentially a base year is established.
Okay.
And then as the tax base grows from development, from investment, that increment is captured and can be reinvested or reutilized.
So when you say like they want to maybe redefine, like maybe signage would not be considered blight, so they would take away being able to do signage, or just really redefine what the money is being used for, or just maybe even not even receiving that money?
You're really gonna test my knowledge of the language of the bills. I don't think the signage is really addressed in the redefinition of blight. It's more, I know Governor Hertz would like to get rid of, thank you, Governor. Senator Hertz would like to get rid of traffic patterns, like irregular or confusing traffic patterns are considered part of blight. And I know that's one of the portions that Missoula was able to develop around the mall in Missoula was because of that, and he would like to remove that from the definition of blight. It is SB 1 that talks about it. It's the longest one, but if you wanted to go learn exactly what they're trying to change, the league has been working back and forth closely with Hertz to try and get a definition that works and doesn't completely unravel the tool, but also, you know, gives him a little too.
Because it seems like it's been such a great thing for our community.
Absolutely.
Even just driving through Roundup, knowing that they're doing that now, like, I can see a huge difference just on the main street. So, you know, even going into a community who's recently started doing something like that, and you can see benefits.
And I'm not sure that any of the TIF money in Roundup has actually been like allocated yet. They're still trying to pull things together.
Improvements are being made, just interesting. Yeah, because they just started reserving, didn't they?
No, it's been in place for how many years have they had a TIF?
2018.
So I do want to call out, Tim obviously is on the advisory board, as well as Dave Byerly. Sarah, I knew nothing about tax increment before I started at Snowy Mountain Development. So Sarah has been a great mentor. She's worked with this tool in Billings and in Dallas. So I think if you do have questions, or you have constituents come to you that want to know what it is, why you continue to support it, or why we continue to have it in Lewistown, please reach out, because we would love to help you better understand it. It's not cut and dry. It's not an easy thing to wrap your brain around, but it's really the last tool we have to utilize local money for local projects without having to go get permission at the state or federal level to then go through the minutia to implement it. Yeah, you bet. Okay.
Can you, I think one of the things that comes up for us as commissioners is on page 5, slide 10. If you could just kind of go over
How we landed on a
and I
map?
know that the commission back in the day had done this, like when the TIF was put in place, like exactly what the boundaries are. But if you could just kind of refer to that, everybody else on page
And there is a
5.
map for the TED as well. I wasn't around for that, but it is a process. There's public hearing. There's a larger study area that is incorporated into that, so that when everything is said and done, you land on a good
So you have to identify
boundary
blight.
line. Yeah. The urban renewal plan went through and identified those areas of blight, those areas of that needed improved infrastructure. We all remember Lewistown when every other storefront was closed. There was broken windows. The what do I want to say? The motto was that, you know, downtown was dying, Lewistown was dying, and so this was really meant to turn that around. And same process both at the airport with the TED, and then you essentially repeated the whole process again when that town and country portion was annexed or brought into that mapping as well. And if we wanted to do another district or add on to any of these districts, we would have to go through that whole process again. So it's not a matter of now that it's in place, we can scoop up this portion or add this portion. It's very much meant to be a public process so that those taxing jurisdictions, city, county, school, have a say.
Have there been anybody that has kind of come forward or spoken up wanting potentially more people wanting to add into that district?
Not so much like private citizens, but this advisory board being very forward thinking is trying to not only identify ways that we can keep this tool here, so with the RLF process, but also trying to look into a crystal ball and see where development might happen that would be worthwhile to capture that increment to then be able to utilize to reinvest.
I think Tim had mentioned that before, that you guys were kind of thinking about that, of expanding it a little bit.
I think the goal right now is to make sure that, in my mind, this is just me speaking, that the TIF continues to be very strong and well thought of, because it's done great work here in Lewistown. And this commission has always been very supportive of it. We want to make sure that it stays that way and understand how pure the spending is for this. So it stays here, it helps rebuild our own downtown. It's a really neat tool in that it doesn't have to go and be washed through so many sieves before it comes back to downtown. It just goes right back into downtown, which is what's great. We also want to encourage local businesses to do more with it.
Yes.
Come in and ask for more. It's surprising how many local downtown businesses don't quickly say, we need that money. How can I'm gonna go improve my building on my property, and I could use some help doing that. So if they're gonna do it, why not take some of this money and do that and increase their taxable value long term, which brings the tide up for everybody tax-wise.
So I want
And then the last thing, real quickly, if I don't want to say
No,
is,
you're fine.
what Abby said, started with, and is really important to understand, is that the TIF and TED districts have been used in some other large urban areas in ways that has caused controversy. We haven't done that here. We're not going to do that here as far as I can tell. And we need to continue to support it for communities like ours and tell legislators that want to legislate the whole state over a few bad apples, perhaps, that they don't need to do that. They can go police those individually through the current regulations that are there. They don't need to keep tightening and tightening and tightening these regulations, which work very well.
Well, I want to go back to your first question. I want to see if we know what a TIF is.
All right. Let me get on my grade book.
You can educate me. So basically, we are looking at a defined area. So it has an area set by its boundaries. The taxes that come from that area go back into that area specifically.
You set a date, you say on this date,
Okay?
Tim gets taxed $100 on that piece of property. As the tax rate goes up, that becomes the increment.
Yep.
That portion is put in the pool over here, again, then stays in the district. Doesn't go everywhere in the community.
Okay.
Stays right up there in the district. So
So-
if that tax goes from 100 to 110, that 10 is the increment. That goes into the TIF increment pot. And then an advisory board said, people come and ask to use that money in a 50-50 grant, typically.
Yep.
Up to $20,000 for most businesses. There's some exceptions on bigger projects. That board looks at it. If it meets the criteria, that board then recommends to this commission to approve.
So structurally, you are setting a base rate, like it says on your beautiful PowerPoint, of the tax dollars. And as that goes up, the additional goes into a fund that that community can use to support the other properties, businesses in that district, primarily for urban renewal.
Correct. In an urban renewal district.
And that's what
Only
we
those in the
have.
district.
And so
Yeah.
their state law dictates what those can be spent
Yeah.
on.
So where, like, as the TED has some different goals up by the airport, that's more infrastructure, rather than, you know, urban renewal district, goals. And there are, you know, statutes, like this is not happening inside the business, this is for public benefit, so it's gotta be exterior stuff. There's,
To increase the tax value.
yes,
That's the goal, is to increase the taxable value of that property or the properties around it.
And so that's why we see windows, we see sidewalks, salons, and those
Trees.
trees.
Yep.
Trees. Oh, trees.
that must be a theme tonight.
It is a thing.
Dave, is there anything you'd like to add? Sarah?
I would just add that, I sat in Kellyanne's chair when we approved this, and the bottom line is this: you and the schools and the county are taking that increase. No one's taxes go up because of a TIF or a TIF, but the increase goes into the district, and it doesn't go on forever, it times out. But you're investing that increase in revenue into the district, and if we all do our jobs right, in 50 years, these entities, the city, the county, and the schools will get more tax revenue because the overall taxable value has been increased because people have been able to invest in their businesses. And I would add one thing, we do have the grants, which can be large in certain cities. I think I can think of a couple that have been. But also there's enough money that there's a revolving loan fund, which offers other opportunities, all governed by state law. But also we have the ability, and we haven't done it yet, but let's say there was a major project, we could partner with someone with bonding. And in other communities, Helena being the flagship of this, downtown Helena, the TIF district allowed that whole development there with the parking garage, the hotel, all of that was made possible because of bonding, because if we know we have this increment coming in for the foreseeable future, you can set a bond. So there's a lot of ways the TIF and TED districts can be used to increase ultimately the tax revenues of the three governmental entities that are involved. So it's a win-win deal. And when I sat in your chair and people sat out here and they were really worried about it, once they knew what their taxes were not going to go up, it was just a function of where their taxes went, then everybody was fine. Thank you.
I think what I would like to add is what I've been emphasizing to the legislators who are coming after the tool, is that these are funds that are used for public improvement. We're not using tax increment financing to go inside a business and paint their walls or something like that. It has to be a public improvement that would normally is the responsibility of all taxpayers. So when we create a district like this, we are segregating out those taxable values. The argument has been that, well, that's burdening all of these other folks outside because you're pulling these revenues into this area. But what they overlook is, but that means you're not paying for this area. These guys are. And it takes a lot of private investment to prime the pump. It's usually 5 times the amount that the private owner is paying for their development. We're only incentivizing the public improvements that are associated with that. And so we want to always emphasize that this isn't taxpayer money that's going into the private pocket of a corporation or corporate welfare, but that it is private investment. Thank you.
So I don't want to take up a whole lot of your time, and my driveway was plowed an hour and a half ago, so I want to get home. But please, if you have questions or you want clarification or you just want to talk through some of the projects, please reach out to us, to any of the advisory board members. If you want clarification on some of the bills that are coming up, happy to have that conversation. Thanks for your time.
On that, can I just say really quick, I think Lewistown has benefited greatly from this, and we as city commissioners may have a voice if we would like to say something like, hey, the TIF is a very good tool for communities such as Lewistown. How would we as commissioners share that most effectively with the legislative session?
So it sounds like right now they really want in person, which is a bummer because they're hoping you keep your testimony to a minute. So that's a trip to Helena for 60 seconds. You can also do it via Zoom or online, and then written testimony as well. You'd have to register, like Holly mentioned earlier. And if you want help crafting that minute so that it has the biggest bang for your buck, we're happy to help do that too.
And she has projects and statistics
Yep.
and all sorts of things that she can share.
May I add?
Yes.
Tomorrow morning at 8 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
is a hearing on Senate Bill 117 that would drastically impact the city of Lewistown. I hate to ask you to do this, but would you look at it tonight? Can I email it to somebody? And I'll give you instructions. You'll want to know. It's going to look like the
Senate Bill 117?
Senate Bill 117.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah, it's the hot seat.
Okay. Is there any other questions or comments right now? Sarah, if you could email Holly, do you want her to just email you?
Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah, so if you email Holly, Holly can email it all to us tonight.
And she's aware. Yeah. Yep. And I'll follow up. Yes, ma'am?
Okay.
Maybe
Separate issue from the TIF, but that's gonna affect the city.
Still a tip, Bill.
And it crosses over TIF.
Hmm.
But all of your tax revenue is gonna plummet your general revenue.
When she drops that like a bomb.
I know, and then goes.
See how much time do they have?
The paper, and they swiftly left the meeting after dropping the bomb.
All right, thank you. Thanks for coming.
Bye.
Okay, so discussion and action on, oh, they didn't want to stick around for their one. All right.
She wanted to get home before her driveway went forward. Don't blame her.
Discussion and action on approving the administrative agreement with Snowy Mountain Development Corporation for the management of the Lewistown Urban Renewal District, also referred to as the Tax Increment Financing District. Okay, Holly.
So the next two items are much the same. This is the same agreement that we have had with Snowy Mountain Development before to administer. We've just separated out the TIF and the TED. There is a small increase. I believe it's about $50 in total in their cost, but they do a great job. They're great allies and advocates, and I don't know if the board has any thoughts.
I see the amount of work that they do, and I'm quite surprised, pleasantly surprised at how low this bill is that we get.
Dave, did you have anything else to chime in on?
No, I agree with Tim. I think it's very reasonable and it's a great partnership.
Okay, so the first agreement is for the TIF, and the second one is for the TED. So focusing on the TIF one right now,
I move the Lewistown City Commission approve the administrative agreement with Snowy Mountain Development Corporation for the management of the Lewistown Urban Renewal District, also referred to as Tax Increment Financing District.
Second.
Are you gonna try to get home?
it's been moved by Commissioner Roots, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. Speaker, oh, sorry, I didn't even hear the second.
Kelly, I give you a spot. Okay.
I knew it
Okay,
came
good.
from over
He's
here.
safe.
I knew it wasn't Lorraine. I just heard it from over here. Okay, seconded by Commissioner Speaka, sorry about that. Is there any comments from the public? The public all left. Is there any other comments from commissioners?
we're approving the administrative agreement for the management of the Lewistown Urban Renewal District. Commissioner Bueller,
Aye.
Commissioner Day,
Aye.
Commissioner Hewitt,
Aye.
Commissioner Rubes,
Aye.
Commissioner Robertson,
Aye.
Commissioner Speaka,
Aye.
Commissioner Terry.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, so our next one is the TED, which, they're still working on, is a little less, administrative fees, but basically the same work. So,
And then it's how often do we do this agreement?
every year.
Every, I don't know that we've ever.
I
Annually, I know.
We did it, was it last year?
Yeah, last year we did it, but then this year.
Prior to that, it had been a while.
Yeah.
It was kind of the
That's what I
same
thought.
agreement
And then,
for many
so
years.
this increase that we were doing, this is the first increase though that we've had with what we funded them with, is that correct?
The last agreement had an increase, the one prior to this increased fairly substantially.
Okay.
But this is the second increase we've ever seen in their administrative.
The second increase we've ever done in the, okay.
And two separate agreements.
And these are two
Standalone.
sorry.
One for the fifth one.
Yeah. She said it was.
There it is.
This time around.
Alright, I move we approve the administrative agreement with SMBC for the management of the Lewistown Targeted Economic Development District.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Speaka, seconded by Commissioner Day. Is there any comments from the public? Any comments from commissioners? We'll do a roll call vote.
We are approving the administrative agreement with Snowy Mountain Development Corporation for the management of the Lewistown Targeted Economic Development District. Commissioner Bueller,
Aye.
Commissioner Day,
Aye.
Commissioner Hewitt,
Aye.
Commissioner Rubes,
Aye.
Commissioner Robertson,
Aye.
Commissioner Speaka,
Aye.
Commissioner Terry.
Aye. Okay, so now we're gonna see what this work does, branded overland for TIF funds. You should have a, resolution in front of you. The application, now, I go through this because I think we've given money to him before. Is that right?
He owns several properties within the district.
Oh, okay, so this is a
the
different
first
property.
to that location.
This is the apartment building on First and
First
Main.
and Main, correct.
Did we just recently purchase that?
It's been about a year ago, and I think, very early on, he came to the TIF district, to the board, and, began discussions. And so had been working to get this proposal finalized. Again, it addresses electrical upgrades, so utility upgrades, and then some exterior facade work that needs to be done. And so, it's only a small portion of his bigger project, but it is eligible for that, and you can see his overall budget. And the TIF board did approve, the award of $20,000 grant to Mr. Overland.
And these are matching funds?
Now, on the back, it says the TIF district program award is $71,000.
That's what he put in there, but their maximum is 20,000.
Okay. So I know on occasion they do give out more than the 20. This is 20.
Correct.
And that's listed on the second page of the resolution. On the back page of the resolution, it states the amount.
Well, that's definitely a building that could use a little love.
As long as the lady with the lantern doesn't come
I move that we approve resolution 4188, a resolution approving an application for Brandon Overland for TIF funds.
Second?
Okay, who's that?
That's me.
It was you again, look at you, just rolling. All right, moved by Commissioner Day, seconded by Commissioner Speaka. Is there any, comments from the public? Any other comments from commissioners? Okay, roll call.
Okay, we are approving resolution number 4188. Commissioner Bueller,
Aye.
Commissioner Day,
Aye.
Commissioner Hewitt,
Aye.
Commissioner Rubes,
Aye.
Commissioner Robertson,
Aye.
Commissioner Speaka,
Aye.
Commissioner Terry.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna open the public hearing to hear comments on a conditional use permit application from Ray Townsend to locate a modular home with an accessory office at 420 First Avenue South. So just down the street from what we just approved.
So Mr. Townsend, just kind of is finishing up the construction of, the previous projects he did in the area, which was a shop office. And so what he proposed to the planning department was to locate a modular home on the property next to it. So it would require demolition of the existing building. Race is in the audience.
I was gonna say, I'm assuming you're Mr. Ray Townsend.
I am.
Do you have anything you'd like to say as we're opening for this public hearing?
No, I just appreciate being here, and I'll answer any questions that, that you need, if you have any questions. I just want to say it's an improvement on the community if I demo the old existing building and bring in something new and modern.
And to that end,
And by trees.
Yeah.
so they're gonna plant 4 trees.
Oh.
So I conditioned the heck out of it. But the most important part is your zoning commission unanimously approved and the conditional use permit and recommends that you in turn approve the conditional use permit as proposed, which is to take down an existing home, put in the modular home, and I think he can have an accessory unit in that home if he chooses to have it. And then the requirements are not exceeding 75% of the lot area with impervious surfacing, the 4 trees, and parking needs to be on site. And they're recommending that you approve that with those conditions.
So the building that would be coming down, is that the white building, flat roof?
Yes.
Okay.
Next is Snowy Mountain Mud.
I thought the letter of support was nice too.
I did too. It was nice to see a letter of support like that.
Very nice.
So who's going to live in the residential?
Mr. Ray Townsend.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mr. and Mrs.
Oh, and that's actually another condition, is the conditional use permit's as good as he's there.
Oh, so if he should.
The modular would have to be moved?
Well, depending on if the person comes in to renew a conditional use permit. But since it's the M1 zone, we want to have a situation where M1 can be used for M1 light industry, which is the preference in your code.
So it would be up to the next 5 days.
Okay. And it's conditional because of that M1 zone?
Yes,
Right?
yes, your
It's
code.
not zoned residential.
Your code allows residential in the M1 zone with a conditional use permit.
Okay.
So it makes sense that we limit the time period while Race is the owner and using the property.
And the property would be conducive then, non-residential.
Correct.
Which I believe you own the shop next to it that you have worked so hard on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so.
And that's commercial still, isn't it?
That's also commercial residential.
Is there any other comments for the public hearing? I'm gonna close the public hearing. Diana, did you have anything you wanted to say at all? I know you were at that meeting, so.
It's been covered.
Yeah. All right, so I'm closing the public hearing. So moving on to the discussion and action on approving the conditional use permit application from Race Townsend to locate a modular home with an accessory office at 420 First Avenue South. And also, I'm assuming we're going to approve this conditional use permit with the
The conditions.
stipulations put forward by the
Planning
board.
Yep.
Move to approve the conditional use permit and application from Ray Townsend to locate a modular home with accessory office
Second.
421st Avenue South with conditions as approved by the
Zoning commission.
zoning commission.
Second.
Perfect. All right. It's been moved by Commissioner Robertson and seconded by Commissioner Rubes. Is there any comments from the public? Any lasting words you want to leave with us?
Thank you.
Any other comments from commissioners? Do a roll call vote?
Okay, we are approving, the conditional use permit application for Ray Townsend with the conditions approved by the zoning commission. Commissioner Bueller,
Aye.
Commissioner Day,
Aye.
Commissioner Hewitt, Commissioner Rubes,
Aye.
Commissioner Robertson,
Aye.
Commissioner Speaka,
Aye.
Commissioner Terry.
Aye. Lots of planning stuff on the agenda tonight.
We are planning.
That's why I called this the hot seat.
All right, discussion and action on approving the purchase of pool covers for the Lewistown pool.
You're working.
Yeah. So there is a purchase requisition for pool covers. So again, an opportunity to partner with another group. The Friends of the Pool have been working with the Recreation Department to replace the pool covers. They actually want, automated, like gear-assisted pool covers, and are willing to work through us on our purchasing policy. So the recommended one, and these are our custom, is the ones from the Pool Supply Unlimited, for $22,648.24. Very comparable to others available out there, but that was the preference of the Friends of the Pool. Are the Friends of the Pool paying for this? 100%. It's just a pass.
So that $22,000 amount, how much of that are Friends of the Pool putting in?
All of it.
All of it.
Okay. We're gonna approve them spending their money?
So it does, because it will come back on our books, we depreciate it out, we put it on their insurance, things like that.
Okay.
It is gotta follow our purchasing policy and become an asset.
So we own it. Is the key.
It's a donation.
Is this one of these covers that seals down so nothing can crawl under it kind of thing?
It does not have, like the track that it runs in or anything, it's just more for heat loss.
And then also, I was just, we discussed a lot at the Park and Rec board meeting with the current charters that we have right now, like a huge money loss because of, they're not like energy efficient, and they're also like rolling them out and bringing them in is a huge amount of staff work. And payroll, so I think that all will come back into, because there was a lot of discussion on whether or not Friends of the Pool would pay for something like this, so now that they're coming forward and said that they would, it's a huge deal to the Park and Rec department.
Are you trying to keep them crawling in there?
Well, some states are more vigilant than others about sealing the entire, you're gonna put a cover over it, you can't get under it, so teenagers can't go out in the middle of the night and have a swimming
Accidentally
event
drown.
and drown under it. That's why I was curious if they're similar to what we have now, or
It would
I'm
be
assuming that
just
they
like
have
that.
been, they've been vetted for safety.
Well, and I think that it seems like Friends of the Pool were very particular about what they wanted there, and what they wanted to have.
And this is 3 different ones, it's separate panels, but very similar to what we have, so.
And what would the safety be on something that locks in? What if something gets stuck under it?
It's just, again, harder to get under there, because typically they have a track or some device that keeps them taut and.
There are some, we're gonna be off on a tangent here. but
Sorry.
There are some pool covers that seal entirely, you can't get in it, nothing can get under it once it's pulled across, and so it creates a barrier.
And so Montana state law requires that it be fenced, because that's the only provision in Montana.
And we're fenced, so it's to keep people out so they don't drown under the pool covers.
So far, Clarence. There is years. I was gonna say,
Report one.
Recently.
Well, you never wanna say never, so.
I can honestly say, I
Um,
haven't seen yet. Nor anything to
It's,
surprise me.
I would like just to say that it's very nice to see the partnership with the pool, Friends of the Pool. This is something that they brought in front of us earlier, and it is something that I know, their help is appreciated.
Is that a motion?
I'll move.
I'll move that we approve the purchase of the pool covers for the Lewistown pool.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by Commissioner Day and seconded by Commissioner Bueller. Is there any comments from the? Oh, really? Oh,
I
you guys. Sorry, they're both looking at me. All right, any comments from the public? My public is dwindling.
They're like, when to get home.
You too have a driveway being blown in.
I know it's been a long evening. Any other comments from commissioners? Okay, we gotta vote right now.
Okay, we are approving the purchase of pool covers to be paid for by the Friends of the Pool. Commissioner Bueller,
Aye.
Commissioner Day,
Aye.
Commissioner Hewitt, Commissioner Rubes,
Aye.
Commissioner Robertson,
Aye.
Commissioner Speaka,
Aye.
Commissioner Terry.
Aye. All right, citizens requests. Is there any requests from citizens? Is there anybody online that you want to say anything?
There's people still with us
Is there
online.
anybody online who has a request?
Oh, Tyler.
Okay. Commissioners minutes.
Just appreciate the city's efforts on snow removal. That's a big task. Thank you guys.
Commissioner Speaka?
Thanks for the follow-up letter on the dog bite situation, that was helpful. Good.
Thank you, same.
Commissioner Rubes, do you have a minute?
Had opportunity today after receiving phone calls from different places. I'm truly impressed with the effort and the courtesy put out by the public works personnel in dealing with the situation. That a well-buried trailer house needed its water shut off, and they went beyond what I would expect to get that done. So if you see them, take them up for cookies or something. The lady that runs that place is doing a great job.
Just am glad that they're plowing. I appreciate it.
I would echo the comments. I appreciate the work of everybody who's worked overtime and weekends and so forth. I do think we should take this opportunity to figure out how to improve that plan and make it real public so people understand how hard everyone's working. And lastly, Holly for taking all of our calls. Second guessing her on her efforts.
She texted me on Sunday and she was like, of the storm, and she's like, do you have time to talk? I was like, I'm not doing anything. I was sitting here watching the
Snowed
snow.
in, yeah.
I was snowed in up with my parents.
So my fun story with Holly is I said, what about my street? And she goes, take a number. Okay.
Oh, got to my
And just to fill in the rest of the commission, I mean, it's all handled and everything now, but, Commissioners Day and Speaka, myself, and Justin Jennis got a letter, in regards to a dog biting situation that was here in town, and Justin promptly responded. The letter had been addressed to him, but it was in their ward, and so I just wanted to say I'm glad that that communication was very prompt on that, so.
I think it's an example of how I saw it on social media.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a social media freak, I'm not on the website, but I saw it, and I think it's important that, you know, we need to help craft messages of what's truthfully happening from a city perspective, rather than just let people pontificate.
Well, it was actually very, I appreciate the person sending the letter to begin with, because I think that that cleared up a lot anyway. Right. So. But I'm not getting on. You did respond, I saw you respond on there.
I like your response, thank you for speaking up.
Yeah. All right, you guys, good job.
Oh.
Got through it. I have a lot of decisions, you did good. All right, we are adjourned.